Okay, so as I said, I'm principal investigator of this project, which involves a lot of teams, as you'll see, and has this long title, well, it has this short title, A Clear Road Ahead, of the ACRA project, but there's a long title after this, Developing a Combined Technological and Socio-Economic Approach to Freeing Affected Communities from Anti-Vehicle Landmines. And from this long title already, you'll see that it's ambitious in the effort to try and combine technology with socio-economic analysis and expertise. And, also what we want to do, I'll talk about this later, is really make an impact to communities that really need this technology. So what is the need that we're trying to, the challenge that we're trying to address? It's related to anti-vehicle mines, and you see here some photos from, well, I guess I can use the pointer. So, given by Hallow Trust, which sort of illustrate the problem, and it's a huge problem. Anyone who works in demining knows this. So these are not anti-personnel smaller landmines. These are big mines that destroy streets and really can be a huge problem, as we'll see later in a talk by Hallow, which focuses on the impact of this anti-vehicle mines from a technical point of view, but also we'll have talks that show their impact in the communities and the regions where they exist. So it's important to note that this need was identified by talking to Hallow, so it didn't come from us only. Jamie Barras, who's been working on our technology for years, has discussed with Michael Nevert from Hallow about this problem. So we didn't have a technology trying to fit a problem. We had a problem and we thought our technology would help, and you'll see how. So the challenge is that with current technology, anti-vehicle mines can be difficult to detect. The main problem is that they may contain very little metal, which is a key principle of detection with metal detectors, but even for GPR it can be difficult. Our technology detects explosive, as you see, and there's a lot of explosive in these mines. So there is an advantage that we could build on. Then, of course, the impact on local communities is devastating for mines in general, but also for anti-vehicle mines. So you can imagine why, as they block roads and they create horror, and they're difficult. Sometimes they may be there for a long time and they go off unexpectedly. Again, Michael will say a lot more about that than me. And the other important aspect of this that we realize is that, and we know already from other areas of technology, but also in demining, is that it's not enough to develop something. We need to make sure that people will use it, especially the people who need it. So that's a way to maximize impact, of course. And in order to do this, we have to bring in researchers from different disciplines than ours, who actually are aware of the challenges from a socio-economic point of view, both in terms of growing these communities economically, but also peace building, and a lot of considerations that technologists or engineers cannot be aware of easily. So our ambition and approach is to develop technology that is really informed by these other disciplines and communities, socio-economic factors, but also users, and make sure that it's deployed for the benefit of the people that it was designed for. So I have a couple of examples where you can think of how this interaction can work. So, for example, often I quote this example. If we know how demining operations take place and what it means for the users of technology, but also for the regions, how we should try to clear a region from anti-vehicle mines, for example, in roads or farmland, what is practical and what is not, then we can design a sensor that will take this into account. So the scanning time of the sensor may affect how signals are processed, so you will have a direct impact on how we design this technology. So I think this is what is important with this project, is we try to do this together, and this is our ambition. And of course, also from a more socio-economic point of view, peace building, economic growth factors, and you'll hear talks about this. If they come, discuss, if they're coming together, they can maximize impact through strategies tailored to specific regions, and we're focusing, of course, in countries where landmines are and anti-vehicle mines are a big problem. And of course, findings from these researchers in this project can also help demanding organizations like the Halo Trust or others to maybe shape their operations, or at least be informed about certain factors that affect this demining. So that is kind of what we wanted as a vision, and for that to work, we need, of course, interactions between different groups, and all working on demining, but from different perspectives. So King's Informatics is developing the technology, and Jamie Barris is an expert in this technology, which is QR spectroscopy, and Jamie will talk about this in this project. Then the African Leadership Center at King's is the other team involved in the project, and they're experts in peace building and development, and they will also present their findings and approach. London Business School have an expertise in economic development, and they have already worked in demining as a problem in terms of economic growth and what is the effect of demining in the region. They have done this in Mozambique before the beginning of the project, and now we are working with them to do this in the regions that we're looking at, Somaliland, Cambodia. And of course, the Halo Trust is a key partner in the project as the demining, one of the world's biggest demining organizations, and with expertise in the operations themselves. And you see that there are two-way links between these groups. So again, for example, by talking to Halo, we can get information about what is required from the actual people who use the technology, and possibly even local people that are employed in demining operations. So that helps us design our device. And then, of course, socio-economic analysis, economic growth, here a more quantitative analysis that is done in London Business School, can talk to each other to optimize their findings, and they can inform the Halo Trust about their findings, but then the Halo also provides a lot of useful data to these groups that they can analyze. So there's links everywhere here, and this is what the project is trying to achieve. So the workshop itself, here I just included the program. So the project itself, the workshop itself is an opportunity to first disseminate the findings of this project, tell you what the project is about and how these teams are working together. But also there's a and because the project is interdisciplinary, it's also a great opportunity to bring people from different disciplines together to discuss this project. So this is the second. So the second goal is with small letters here, but it's really to have these interactions from different demining actors, and we hope to do this with talks, through the breaks, networking, and also with a debate that we have a panel towards the end of the workshop, which is sort of an open Q&A panel that will exchange views. So the program. So the program is going to start right after this introduction with Michael Never from the Halo Trust, who will talk about the technical challenges specifically for anti-vehicle mines, which is the problem we're trying to solve. Then we have Genzo Jung and Ersaing Hoffman from two very important think tanks and institutes, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute and the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining, and they are working on looking at this problem, but from a more humanitarian impact aspect of the problem. We'll have a coffee break after that, and then after the break, we'll have a talk by Nigel Elway, who's the head of the All Party Parliamentary Group on Explosives, and he will discuss victim assistance, which is also a very important problem. Then we'll have 2 more talks which discuss the technical aspects of the problem. So first is by Jamie Barrs, who will talk about our technology developed in this project. And then David Daniels, who's an expert in another important technology used in landmine detection, GPR, will give a talk about that approach, which will be quite interesting, I think, to see the challenges when you go from research and development to using something. Then we have lunch breaks and coffee breaks are in the room next door, so a bit easy to find. And after the lunch, we'll have a few talks which are more on the socio-economic aspects of this project and more in general, demining. Sorry, this is important, but can't do it. So the first by Paul Haslop from the United Nations Mine Action Service, who will look at sustainable development goals to maximize positive outcomes and real impact. Then Sanjay and Aket Ikpa from the African Leadership Center, the other team that works on this project, will talk about mine clearance as peace building. Giorgio Cavelli from London Business School will showcase their market access approach to the problem. So they have a quantitative economic approach to demining that they will discuss. And then we'll have this important panel discussion with Q&As for about an hour, maybe a bit more. This concluding remarks, I don't need to say much. I think they come up from here, but maybe just for 5 minutes at the end. And we have a closing networking event, which will be from 5 maybe to 6, maybe to 6 a bit later. And that will give us an opportunity to also discuss the project findings and also network. So I think before we start the talks, Professor Funmi Sakin is here. Thank you very much. I think she was coming from the airport, so we really appreciate her efforts. She is the Vice Principal of the National Here Kings, and she will also give us a short introduction to the course. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope this room fills up very quickly in the course of the day, not least because this is probably one of the most important pieces of research that the college would have done, amongst maybe its top 10 in the last 5 or so years. Why do I say that? I say that because even now as I speak on behalf of the principal of King's College London, and especially on behalf of King's internationalization agenda, it's very obvious that if we're going to move in the direction of the promise we have made to ourselves and to the world, which is as articulated in our Vision 2029, to make the world a better place, it's very obvious that precisely this kind of research is what must lead the way in the 21st century. 2 big things. If we want to make the world a better place, knowledge cannot be about a single discipline. It cannot be just about social science, studying the communities or the societies that are impacted by issues like landmines. It can also not just be about the science. If it's just about the science, then we have missed it. About 2 decades ago, I went to work at the United Nations. I left King's and I went to work at the United Nations for a few years. King's afforded me the space to go and to come back. I saw firsthand how by trying to do research, by trying to propose agendas that we felt were right for war-affected societies, sometimes we did harm inadvertently. We wanted to do good, we had good intentions, but we did a lot of harm. NGOs do the same sometimes when they have an idea that they have a hunch might work. And actually, more often than not, it might work, but that idea needs to associate itself, needs to be associated with the needs of the communities, not by remote control, although I'm sure some of these projects is by remote control as well, all right? But by understanding and being very intimately connected with the people affected by that issue. So in the last few years, we've been doing a lot of interdisciplinary work, and we have been encouraging our researchers to look across disciplines, because problems don't pose themselves in monodisciplines. The problems that we study require multidisciplinary approaches. And that's why I want to pay tribute to my colleagues who got together to initiate this project, because that interdisciplinary way of working is what is required if we're dealing with the global challenges of the 21st century. But secondly, is that about impact, which touches upon the first point that I made. If we're going to impact our world and positively affect the, I would call them both the objects and the subjects of our research, because we're trying to get them involved intimately and have them participate in our research, we have to register impact. And that we're having this meeting in the same week, within still the same week, it's still less than 7 days. I think we announced, the principal and I were in Brazil when we learned of the outcomes of the Times Higher Education impact assessment. We're number 5 in the world. King's College London is number 5 in the world amongst the institutions that make their research and their services count. Number 5, in the UK, we were beaten only by Manchester. It says something about what this kind of research is doing. I think, let me make my penultimate point by saying, yes, interdisciplinary work is important. Yes, the impact of that interdisciplinary research is important. But thirdly, feeling, if you like, having empathy for the communities we research and we claim to help is very important. That's why the other hat that I wear at King's as part of the African Leadership Center makes this very, very important. At the African Leadership Center, we heard for decades about how researchers will fly by night. I heard this myself many times at the United Nations. They come in very quickly, they package their research, they interview all these communities, you never see them again. They package their research, they promote it, they celebrate it in the Western world, they get promotion at work, and we never ever see them again. So the partnership between this research and the work of the African Leadership Center, which is King's foremost center that is looking at Africa, but other people across King's, other researchers are working on Africa. But this is a center that authentically links itself with communities in Africa because it engages. These are the communities that some of us hailed from in the first instance. Engages intimately those societies, and it ensures that the kind of research and development that is going on here will not be subjected to, abject failure, as we have seen other pieces of research, being subjected to because they did not know the societies that they were working in. And I think that is why I want to especially pay tribute to colleagues at the ALC, to colleagues in NMS, and to colleagues in the London Business School for coming together to make their work count. And I can already see signs that this work will count. I hope that, I know you have already visited Cambodia, Angola, yes? Somaliland. And those communities need to understand that this is designed with the intention of improving their lives. And I can see how those societies will benefit immensely from research like this. And I want to urge our colleagues across King's and other institutions to learn from this as an example of how to truly make the world a better place. What I hope is that if the results of this research are precisely what I think they will be, I hope that in the next few years I'll be showcasing this as the how to do research, how to make impact, and to make this one of the centerpieces of the projects we showcase for the King's internationalization strategy. We launch this, I will launch this in June, and our regional strategies will be launched on the back of that. and I want to wish everyone every success and successful deliberations today. I'm so glad I didn't miss this. I nearly did. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the great support and the great talk and advertising our project. Thank you very much to both our invited guests for their opening remarks. I'm just going to say one last thing and then we have to start. It's a packed program, but hopefully we'll make it through the day. So the one point being that we should always thank our sponsors, EPSRC, and this scheme, Global Challenge Research Fund, which is exactly designed for this type of projects. It tries to do challenge-led interdisciplinary research and to address needs. So it was a great scheme for us, and we are happy that they're supporting us. And then the last just a remark is that we are, as you probably noticed, videotaping this, and we have privacy forms that we're distributing to make sure that you are happy with this, and if you're not, you can contact us and let us know about this.